Okay, well, here we are for the first episode to learn how to be your own boss. And I'm sure we all have ideas when we start. I started 55 years ago and went through a lot of ups and downs. Actually, I never had a boss. I don't know if that's a good idea to tell you that, but I learned the hard way. Excuse me. The first question to ask yourself, if you've got that, what it takes to be a boss. I don't even like the word boss because I feel like you work with people as compared to working above them. It depends. And if you're a very large company, 100 employees or something like that, it's a different thing. But if there's you and 2 other people, maybe 4 other people, maybe even 10, people take things more personally. They see you every day. You're not hidden away in a big oak office someplace behind a big desk. So you're going to have to work with them. So I guess the first thing to understand is some of the points or things you're going to have to accomplish in your head before you decide you want to go into business for yourself. Now, I'm sure you've said, I can't stand my boss, Well, that's probably 50% of the people that go into business for themselves have that same opinion, and it must be the same 50% that are out of business within 5 years, which is roughly what the fallout rate of being in business is, 5 years. By 10 years, probably 80% are gone. So if you're a good employee now, you have a better chance of being a good boss because you understand both sides of the coin. You understand what it is to be an employee, you understand what it is to be a boss, and you realize you're working with people, not above them. You never want to flaunt your superiority. It's the worst thing you can do. You'll never recapture their trust if you talk down to them. But I'm kind of getting off the point here. What we're trying to do now is decide if you even want to go into business for yourself. Those are some good points, though. I guess the next thing is to decide how much money do you consider a lot of money. I mean, if a person makes $30,000 a year and he we'd really like to make 60. I think that's very doable, running a little business. If you make 50 now and you'd like to make 100, that's very possible. If you make 150 and you want to make 253, there's a good chance. I'm not here to teach you how to be Steve Jobs or Jeff Bezos. I'll admit, I don't know how to become a multimillionaire, billionaire. This is for people in the scope of reality who want to make a little better reason to propel themselves to being in business for themselves and make a little more money, maybe a lot more money. I mean, $500,000 isn't out of range nowadays. That's not that much money, believe it or not. But if you're interested in doing that, I'm the right person to come to. 55 years I've been in business and just retired at 75 a year ago, so 76 now. And the reason I'm doing this, quite frankly, is to pass it on and give you some help and some guidance. I'm not an accountant, but I know my numbers. You have to be pretty much everything. You have to know your business. If you're going to be a plumber, you have to know plumbing. You have to know how to be a plumber. But the main thing, everybody's in 2 businesses they don't realize. The other business is the business of being in business, regardless of what the task is, plumbing, heat and air, whatever, retail. But you have to be good at being in business, regardless of what your product or service is. It's very important. And you're going to get some of that as we go along and progress. So the money, if you want to make triple your salary from 30 to 90, I think that's real doable. But you're going to pay a price. We all pay a price. a real other, I think an important thing is the partners. You know, partners are good. If you have somebody that wants to put in 100,000, you do the work, he supplies the money, that would probably work. But it's hard to be two guys in business or two girls in business, and it's just kind of hard to be equal. One has more drive, and then they feel like their partner isn't working hard enough, and it goes back and forth, and one wants to take a vacation, and the other one says, we can't take a vacation, we're bleeding money. Everybody's got different concepts. It's sort of like the first day you decide you want to be in business. You and your friend are going to be in business together, and you're all excited, and your wives are kind of into it too. And they say, hey, let's order a pizza Saturday night, Friday night. Let's order a pizza and talk about what we're going to name it and how it's going to go and this and that. Well, the first thing that happens, somebody says, I want onions. One of the other girls says, I don't like onions, but I want mushroom. He says he wants pepperoni, and the other guy says supreme. Hell, you haven't even started the partnership, and you don't agree on a pizza. I mean, that's almost funny, but it's true. You can imagine when it gets down to real important things, like we're running out of money, we both have to put $5,000 in to keep the business going. So I would be very cautious about partners. A money partner is one thing, but the other way, you're always weighing, he's doing more, not as much as I'm doing. I work Saturday, he went to a baseball game. Quite frankly, they very seldom work out, especially in small business, you know. So I'd really think about that one twice, because those four people, two wives and two husbands, sitting around that pizza, laughing, trying to figure out what to call it, H, H, L, and D, everybody's first letter of their name. You see a lot of that. Plumbing, or BB for BBL and T, you know, whatever the first names or last names, or that's nonsense. If you want to name a company, name it what it does. You know, affordable plumbing, something like that. You're telling people it's affordable, and you're telling them that you do plumbing. That says something. B, B, L, and T and stuff like that means nothing. Only to the owners, who are fighting to make sure everybody knows they're one of the people in the partnership. It's ridiculous, totally ridiculous. So let's assume you go into business for yourself, and you've got a partner, wife, whatever. You're going to have to stay on the same track there. You think 40 hours is a long time? You'll be working 80 hours a week. Maybe both of you will be working 80 hours a week for 160 hours. And sometimes you won't get paid. When we started out 50 some odd years ago, we were doing all the retail clerking and everything else, and there was times we didn't make any money even though we were supplying the own labor. So we were working for $0 an hour. But we could see the vision. I knew where we were going. We both knew where we were going, and we weren't going to stop until we got there. First 5 years was pretty tough. I would say the second 5 years was easing up a little bit. And after about 20 years, we started really making some money. That's the way it goes, you know. In the last years, we were flat making it hand over fist, okay? But not without pain, not without pain. So be ready for a lot of hours. Try to keep the business scaled small, unless somebody's planning on bringing money to the partnership. Focus on what you'd like to make the first year. Let's say you want to save, Joe, I wish we could make 80 grand. Also, there's another thing to mention. It's a good idea, depending on what you get into, that one of you keep a day job. Because if neither one of you has a day job and you're both working on this, no money's coming in. So immediately, all your household expenses become business expenses. Now, the next time up, episode 2, I'm going to give you some information on numbers that most people don't think of. And that's the reason they go out of business. Surprisingly enough, most people don't know what things cost. They don't know what their cost is to operate. They don't know what their household expenses are, yet they're out there working for money. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. What I would like you to do, though, if you would, if you don't want to, I get it, but subscribe and hit that thumbs up. because I think I'm going to give you some information that you couldn't pay for. You'd be charged a lot of money to know the secrets I'm saying, so you don't hit those pitfalls that everybody has a tendency to do. I think most people that get into business at the beginning, I think the focus is good, but when you have the interruptions of partnerships and not liking each other, and there's partners that after 3 months don't even want to see each other. They dread Monday morning because they're going to see the other guy, you know? So you want to know what happens if you make a mistake. Now, you might get a partnership going and work out just fine. I'm just telling you, these are some of the pitfalls that cause all the problems down the road. So with that being said, I'd like you to tune in the next time. If you, like I said again, if you subscribe and hit me a thumbs up, give me something to do. I'm retired now. I'm losing my mind sitting around the house. So if you want to have those nice things, the boats, the vacation house, good education for your kids, a decent vacation now and then. Although I got to admit, we never had we did a lake house. We never did vacations. We couldn't afford to be that far away from the business. So we were on guard for 55 years. I mean, that sounds ridiculous, but no trips around the world, no cruises. I was always within 3-4 hours of getting home, whether I was flying or driving. So that being said, I'll see you next time, and thanks for tuning in. This is how you're going to learn